Hey, you're watching the Half Asian Tarot Queen, and I am Melissa. I just want to do a little reminder. Giveaway for the month of June is the Muse Tarot deck, and it's very likely that this is going to be the last reading that I do. So the last reminder to enter, I'm going to post a link to the video that explains how it works. It's super easy. And the winner will be announced in the July monthly reading, which will happen shortly after the beginning of the month. So, just so you know, I'm actually going now to the Mystical Shaman Oracle, which is pretty much my favorite deck, and I'm going to get some overall energies for what's been going on. There was like a lot of shifting that happened with the eclipse. I don't know if there's another eclipse or not. I honestly need to look it up, but some pretty big changes going down, and yeah, the eclipse has been super enlightening. It's been a wild ride. It's not over yet. So I'm just gonna check in and see where we're going. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So at the bottom of the deck, we got the Mystical Shaman, and again, I love how these cards go together in this color way, and how the message flows together. It's really quite amazing. The Mystical Shaman is someone who kind of walks through the world and is able to pull what they need from the world around them to manifest, what they need, I mean, it's kind of like the magician in the traditional tarot deck, but I think like one of the core messages with the Mystical Shaman is you're walking through the world, you're alchemizing using the elements that are around you, but you're not like being too attached to outcomes and getting sort of stuck in places. Like you're in a continual state of flow, and for that reason, like that's how you're able to alchemize, because it's just like, I think there's a huge trap in like living in ego consciousness. And it's interesting because I feel like this message came up a lot over the eclipse. And you get attached to outcomes, you get attached to being right, and you kind of get stuck in places instead of just like staying in the state of flow and learning the lesson you're supposed to learn from a situation, like moving through it and not sort of like over-identifying with it and needing it to be a certain way, which kind of like when you look at the world through this consciousness of your ego and it like needs to be a certain way, you get attached to an outcome, and it's like it's a distorted lens that you perceive the world through, and then that's super limiting, whereas if you could just be open to the experience, everything you would need would come to you, and you would be in this state of flow and abundance, but you actually block yourself by being like attached to, it needing to like match up with what your expectation is or what your ego is expecting, and ironically, you kind of miss the boat that way. So this is kind of like graduating to that level of existence in a way, because the other cards we have the Upper World, which is a card of spiritual consciousness, and it's a card of being connected to that realm, spiritual realm of the heavens, or the God consciousness, or whatever you however you identify with that experience, And then this is a card of a wake-up call, the Thunder. Boom, like you get it. You like finally got it, You understand how it works, and so you're completing like a cycle of life and stepping into a new cycle where you're living in a state of flow and abundance, which is like beautiful. It's like almost like you're graduating from the three-dimensional world and like elevating to a more spiritual consciousness. I mean, that's kind of the overall message that's coming through, which is a really beautiful message, you know. And it's interesting too, because there was this whole theme with eclipse season, you know, about like eclipsing out oppression and the like inner work that needs to be done in order to attract that to yourself. And yeah, there were like actually 3 readings that came out for the solar eclipse, which I've never done 3 readings for one event before, but the energy was so powerful that that's kind of what ended up happening. So you might go back and look at those readings. Each of them has like a powerful message, and they're all different. So something to consider. Okay, so at the bottom of the deck we have the Page of Swords. So this can be a message of truth or clarity that's coming through. This also is an energy that has shown up a lot in this thread called Stalkers, and so that's like interesting because, you know, that stalker kind of situation is related to this whole sense of attachment and ego consciousness and needing things to be a certain way and sort of looking at the world through this distorted lens. And also there's this toxic energy of lack, you know, that's harbored, that kind of supports that kind of situation. So the other cards we got the Four of Pentacles, which is interesting because this is also a card of sort of like withholding, you know, like you're blocking the flow when you're sort of just like, you don't want to let go to what you have because you're afraid, and you kind of, there's this like fear, you know, that goes with that. and then we have the Fool, and that's flanked by the Eight of Swords, which is also a card of like fear and anxiety and like being up at night and like being riddled with that. And it's interesting because it's like we have these 2 cards and they're flanked by the Fool, where it's like we've suddenly figured out that like we can like actually let go of these energies, you know, like that's the wake-up call, you know, that this falls right on top of. So super interesting. I'm going to go to the Muse Tarot, which again, the free giveaway for the month of June, and I'm going to pull some more cards to get some clarification about what's going on. But like this is pretty cool, you know. I mean, it's just like, it's really interesting because I feel like there's a lot that's going on in the world and it's very uncertain, you know. And so it's interesting how, you know, everyone's reacting to it. Like some people are reacting to it from the state of fear and wanting to like clamp down on what they have, and like, you know, other people, oh my gosh, that's so weird, are like totally feeling empowered by it and like looking at this as an opportunity to like change, bring the change that we want to see in the world, you know. And so it's really interesting to see that sort of schism happening and like the interactions and the tensions that are resulting from that, you know. I mean, it's really prominent in the world right now. I mean, there's been a lot about the uprisings that have been happening, like in Minneapolis, for example, where I was living. Like, I have even a special thread about that because that's been coming up a lot in the readings, and I've been super actually inspired by that community and how people are rising to the occasion there, because there are some really profound challenges that people are dealing with because of the destruction. I mean, it was so immense, you know. So I'm very inspired by that. Okay. So at the bottom of the deck, we've got the Ace of Emotions, which is the Ace of Cups. So this is like a brand new start in like love, you know. So that's really cool, you know. It's just like you're either going to embrace fear or you're going to embrace love, you know. And so I want to be with this on this channel, you know, with these folks. And I feel like there's a lot of that going around in Minneapolis, you know, because, you know, that's kind of what it takes to overcome that level of challenge, you know. Okay, so the cards that came out are really interesting. We have, on the first row, we have the Four of Materials, which is like the Four of Pentacles. And interestingly, it fell right on top of this other Four of Pentacles from the other deck. So that's really interesting. There's seriously a prominent energy of just like withholding, you know. And I mean, I think that's understandable because the times that we're in are really difficult and we don't know what's coming down the pipe. You know, it's very uncertain. And so people are wanting to like hold on, you know. But there's actually a new start that's on the horizon, you know. And we also have the Three of Materials, which is kind of like a new foundation. So it's interesting because we've got this hanging on for dear life, and we've got this new foundation that are flanking this new start. So, you know, I think it's really important, like, how we focus our energy, and like, you definitely want to be on the channel of the new foundation and not on the channel of like hanging on to the past, you know, as we move through this. Then we have the Muse of Emotions, which is like the King of Cups. So this is like really someone's like empowered and like operating from a heart-centered place, but like in command of your emotions, you know, like you're not like all over the place. Like, you know, you feel that, but like you're guided by it, but you're not like sort of reacting to it, you know. And then we have the Two of Voices, which is kind of like the Two of Swords in the traditional deck, and we have Temperance. So that's really interesting because I think there's, again, it's like there's the fear channel and there's the love channel, you know, and it's like we've got this King of Cups here, and then we've got the Two of Voices, which is kind of like this card of stalemate and blockage and dissonance, you know, and we have to like keep those two in balance, you know, as we like move through this. And so I think that's like sort of like a cautionary message to like really try to be intentional about where you're putting your energy right now, because there actually is this new foundation that's coming online, you know, and you got to be in balance to kind of be in alignment with it. This fell right under the new foundation, you know. So really try to be intentional about where, you know, where you're putting your emotions, because we want to break through the blockage. We want to be in this state of flow. I mean, we want to be the mystical shaman. Okay, I'm going to pull 3 more cards of guidance. Oops. Whoa, that one just jumped out. From Ethereal Visions, just on how we're going to move through this moment. The card that jumped out was the Eight of Wands, which is like a message coming in, or like a change. So it's like something wants a change, you know. So I think that's definitely been going down with this eclipse energy for sure. Okay, so we've got this change coming in. We've got the Page of Pentacles, which is kind of like a new start, but it's like a tangible start, you know. And it's interesting because there's all these pentacles all around, and that fell right under this Ace of Pentacles, you know. So there's like a new tangible start. And then we have this Nine of Pentacles, which is kind of like this swing and singles card. And it's the card right before the Ten of Pentacles, which is a total like dynasty card, you know. It's like a really solid foundation that you can build a family on. But right before that, we have this person who's kind of like figured out all their stuff, you know. They've kind of like figured out their own abundance, you know. They're really kind of okay on their own. Like, they don't need someone. It would be nice, but like they're stable, like in their own right. And that fell on top of this Temperance and this new foundation. So there's this person who's kind of figured their stuff out and come into balance, and they're sitting pretty on top of this like solid foundation, you know, and there's like this message is kind of pointing towards this person, and it's almost like there's this new start, like a message around a new start that's coming to this person who kind of just like took their time and like wasn't rash, and like they're in a really good spot. I mean, that's the mystical shaman, you know. They've manifested a solid foundation for themselves. So that's actually a really positive message, especially during all this tumult and craziness that's going on. I'm going to pull one more card from Starseed Oracle just to get one last message. Yeah, and just to remind you, it's probably going to be the last reading for the month of June. Thanks for everyone that entered the giveaway. I'm going to announce the winner in the July monthly reading, which will be shortly after the 1st. I'm not sure exactly when. I should note that, you know, I'm not really aspiring to be a tarot reader. I just really love the tarot, and so I kind of just do readings when I'm called to, and I'm not, I mean, I do them pretty often, but not every day, and sometimes I don't do them for a while, and I think it's better that way, you know. Just wait until you have something to purge. Okay. So the card is, I remember, soul plan, the fated life versus the destiny life. That's super beautiful, you know, because that's like the mystical shaman, you know, like coming into alignment with their power. So they're sort of in this state of flow, and what they need comes to them. And when you're in that state, I think, you know, your destiny unfolds around you, you know, and that's the channel you want to be on, you know. So I'm going to leave you with that thought. This is a really beautiful moment in time if you're on the right channel, I think. So I think this is a really positive message, and just kind of an inspiration on how we can all move closer towards that state of being. So we'll check in with you soon.